I'm Casey Bell from the Google Teacher Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to episode 84 of the Burn In Teacher Podcast. Today we're going to talk about the be, do, have mentality and how you can apply it to your life right now. Let's get started. Welcome to the Burned In Teacher Podcast. I'm Amber Harper, and the educators on this podcast are brave enough to share their stories of burnout with the world. On BIT, we get real, we get honest, and we take action. Action against the burnout with stories from burned out teachers, advice from experts, and actionable steps you can take today to beat the burnout and become a happier, more fulfilled human being. Let's get started. You know, during my 12-year teaching career, it seemed like there was always something throwing off my lesson plans, mindset, or goals. And when I began to burn out and tried to talk about it, all I heard was join the club, go for a walk, have a glass or 3 of wine. This is just the way it is. The current challenges you're facing, distance learning, new technologies, higher expectations, discipline issues, a personal crisis, a global pandemic, all of these challenges make your everyday life seem unmanageable. Until now. Teacher burnout has been hacked and the book is here. In Hacking Teacher Burnout, I share my 8-step process that shines a light on burnout as an opportunity for growth and change. And in it, I empower you to become burned in, a fulfilled, happy, efficient, and effective teacher in the classroom and in life. You'll learn the steps you can take action steps based on your burnout type. Feel ready for the next challenge. Thrive, not just survive, personally and professionally. Feel ready for and learn how to grow through your burnout, and so much more. Hacking Teacher Burnout is here and ready for you to order on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com, so go check it out. Or go to hackingteacherburnout.com to learn more and place a bulk order for your staff. Take a deep breath because you're about ready to do something big for your burnout. Burn on. Hey, what's up, Burned In Teachers? Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 84 of the Burned In Teacher Podcast. This is one part burnout and all other parts action, inspiration, and support for teachers dealing with burnout. I'm your host, Amber Harper, and I empower burned out teachers to believe that they deserve and can achieve a happier and more fulfilled career and life with my 8-step Burned In process. To learn more about that, go ahead and take the Teacher Burnout Quiz. Go to burnedinteacher.com/burnout quiz, where you can begin your journey out of burnout by identifying what type of burnout you're dealing with. Speaking of burnout types, this episode is for all of you burned out teachers out there, whether you're burned and unbalanced, burned and bored, or burned and over it. And now once you take that quiz, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Now, this episode is also for any of you teachers out there who you've taken the quiz, you have the Stages ebook, and you have found that you are at a stage 0 or 1. You're isolated, you're ashamed, you're resentful, you're cynical, you're paralyzed, you don't know what to do, but you're thinking about all the things you want to have. You're saying statements like, if I had this, then I would do this. Or if this person wouldn't be doing this, then I wouldn't have to do this. You know, any number of scenarios that puts you in the victim seat. And now let me be clear. I'm not judging. I'm not pretending to know your situation. Maybe you are working for somebody who has unrealistic expectations. Lord knows right now in the middle of this pandemic, your situation may not be ideal. However, I want to introduce you to the be, do, have principle. Okay, so it goes kind of like this, and I want to start by asking you a question. What do you want to have in your life? Seriously, like pause me right now and think about it or write it out. Okay, ready? Pause. Okay, did you do it? I hope you did. So what did you say? What is it that you want? Did you say, I want to have more time to do the things that I love? I want to have a better relationship with my students. I want to have less work to do at night and on the weekends. I want to have a job where I feel appreciated. I want to have healthier habits. I want to have a more organized home. All of us want things, right? Like whether they're concrete or abstract, it doesn't matter. We just want to have blank. And there's always going to be something after we have that thing that we want, right? I mean, it's funny because we hear kids, talk about the things that they want all the time, but, adults are no different. We all want things. And there's nothing wrong with wanting or needing to have. However, I want to ask you another question, okay? Imagine this scenario. If a student entered your classroom and said, "Listen, teacher, I want to have an A, so go ahead and give me that A, and then I will do what I need to do and be the student that I need to be in order to have that A." Does that sound okay with you? What would you do in that situation? I mean, you'd probably answer with a laugh or, "That's cute," pat them on the head and then tell them to sit down, right? That's not realistic. That's not how the world works. When I decided that I wanted to have a Google Certified Educator badge back in 2016, I didn't contact Google and ask for one. I had to be and do the things that someone who has a Google Certified Educator badge and certification has. I had to study, I had to use the Google tools with my students, I had to know them inside and out, and I had to pass the test. And in 2017, when I was grading and planning all hours of every day for my 30 first graders, and I wanted to have more time with my family, I realized that I couldn't just want to have more time. It was just making me bitter. I had to do and be the type of teacher who maximized her time in class and made routines and systems that made things easier for me. In both of these scenarios, it was hard. I had to break old habits and beliefs in order to do the outward things that would actually get me to where I wanted to go. And now I know that what I was practicing was the be, do, have mentality. When typically we think about, if I have this thing, then I will be happy. And then I will do the things that a happy person does. That's actually not how it works. When I stopped saying, when I have the time, I will become a Google Certified Educator. That was the thing I wanted more than anything professionally at that time. And when I stopped saying, when I don't have 30 first graders, then I'll be happier and I'll be better at managing my time and I'll simplify things after I have these 30 students. It was in those moments that I realized that happiness doesn't happen from the outside in. Okay, so for example, when I have that clean and organized house, then I'll be calm. Or when I have the most outstanding and understanding principal, then I'll be a happier teacher. Or when I have my normal teaching year back, right? I mean, preach. When I have my normal teaching back, then I'll be less overwhelmed and stressed. See, it actually happens from the inside out. So instead of if I have this, then it's I am organized and clean, and I do the things that a person who with a clean and organized house does. I do those things now. Or I am fair and understanding, and therefore I will be fair and understanding to everyone, even my principal who maybe isn't. Or I am a teacher with students, and I will be the teacher that keeps things simple for herself and her students so we can all be done with work at a decent time, no matter where my students are learning from or where I'm teaching from. You see, it all starts with being and doing the things that we need to do in order to have the things that we want. Okay, so for example, if you're really overwhelmed right now with all of the things that you're doing and you want to have better balance, you have to learn and be and do the things that somebody that has more balance does. I've recently in my Facebook group, I asked how many hours everybody was working, and I got all sorts of different answers. I had some teachers who answered 40 to 45 hours. I had some teachers who said 60 plus hours. I even had one teacher who said 100 hours one week, and the least amount of hours they've worked is 92. So how is it that some teachers are able to balance a 40, 45-hour work week with their personal life and others aren't? I really truly believe that it has to do with that teacher being and doing the things that they need to do in order to have what they want. So I want you to think back to that list of things that you said that you want to have at the beginning of this episode. What do you have to do and who do you have to be in order to have those things? Because those are the things you should be doing now. So if you're struggling with classroom management, what does somebody who already has wonderful classroom management, what do they do? How do they behave? What have they learned? What are they researching? I was recently on Twitter And there are some wonderful tweets out there from some fabulous people. However, there are also a lot of posts that make me wonder, how do you expect to have the thing that you want when you're spending time complaining about it on social media? And now you're scrolling through and listening to reading everybody's responses. What could you be doing and who could you be being in order to have that thing that you want so badly? Because tweeting about it in a way that is not productive and not helping you to get results and not helping you to learn more is not going to help you to have that thing that you want. So this kind of goes back to the episode that I had with Dr. Fesich. That was episode 81 a couple of weeks ago. And we talked about, how you show up matters and who you are on a daily basis and what you do on a daily basis is going to allow you to have those things that you want. That it may take you having some gut check conversations with yourself too about your habits and patterns. It makes me also think about last week's episode with Naomi and how she was doing and being the teacher that she thought that she had to be in the culture that she was in until she realized that she didn't have to do and be those things to be a good teacher. And she made changes that benefited her mentality, and her ability to spend more time with her family. So if you need to listen to this episode again to kind of let it wash over you, go for it. But I really do. I want you to write down all the things you want to have. And then I want you to think about the second after you finish that list, what does somebody who has those things, what does somebody do? Who do you need to become right now in order to have the things that you want? Either concrete or abstract, it doesn't matter. The great news is you get to choose and you have control over who you want to become and what you want to do in order to have those things that you want. So take a deep breath because you just took another step to becoming a burned-in teacher. And don't forget to jump into the free Burned In Teacher Facebook group at community.burnedinteacher.com. And let's talk about all of those things you want to have and how we can help you to be and do the things that you need to do now in order to have them in the future. Burn on. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed today's podcast episode, you can head over to burnedinteacher.com where you can access the entire vault of Burned In Teacher podcast episodes and more information about ways I want to help you go from burned out teacher to burned in human. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would be so grateful if you would head over to iTunes and leave a review and a rating about the Burned In Teacher podcast. Until next time, take a deep breath because you just took another step to becoming a burned in teacher. Burn on.